Hi everybody. Okay, so here we have the final round of a competitive Modern League with Jeskai Geist, in which we're testing Gideon, Opt, and only two Geists. Before I get started, I just want to remind you guys that this Sunday is going to be the first of it's really the second of a new type of video I'm going to be producing. The first was kind of the Opt video. If you didn't see that, check out my video where I talk about Opt. But the second is going to be an FNM vlog. This is like a new vlog format, and this one's going to be about FNM. Also, I'll be launching a new YouTube channel soon. Details of that will be forthcoming. And let's play Magic. Round 5. We won the draw. I won the roll. I think that's the first one this league. Yes, let's play. I could be wrong. Maybe it's the second. Yes, let's keep this hand also. Logic Knot on turn 2 with plenty of lands is a good deal. Maybe we're going to play against Burn. I feel like I haven't played against Burn in forever. Alright. Affinity. Should be a matchup that we can win. Alright, so if I can get a red source with this one, if I just get a blue source with this Flooded Strand. Kind of want to save this. We really just want to save the Logic Knot mainly for Etched Champion. Plating is usually something that we can deal with. What about that guy? Yeah, I think I'm just going to let it resolve and then path it, and in response path the Ornithopter. Not that I really want to path an Ornithopter, but it's an option. I think it's fine to path an Ornithopter, actually. Although, I don't really like giving him the mana. Yeah, you know, he can... That Ornithopter can hang out for a bit. I don't want to give him a land just yet. And the main goal here, the only card that really matters in this matchup, I mean, sure, they can have an awesome draw, but the card that matters is really just... Okay, that's a weird card. Reveals an artifact. So I think we want to just electrolyze the... or maybe... Yeah, actually I'm fine to just electrolyze the Signal Pest. Cantrip, find other removal spells. Like, it'd be nice to also get the Inkmoth Nexus with it, but... Or just get more lands out of our deck. Okay. Didn't expect there that many lands. I mean, we're not under a huge pressure from these things. Maybe I should have just saved the stupid... Alright, I'm going to turn this land into a different land. Don't draw land. That's too many lands. Alright. We could lose this game just because we're drawing so many lands. That's for sure. That's too many. I also think that, I mean, if I knew I was going to draw so many lands, I certainly would have just saved my Electrolyze, but... Alright, so Snapcaster Mage should help with things. Okay, these fly. That can only be blocked by flyers. Don't want to take 4, but I'm going to. Oh, wait. Taking 4 is awful. What am I saying? Taking 4 is terrible. Because of Galvanic. You know, I like screwed up. If I die, I just die. I'm not worried about it. Alright, Galvanic Blast me, bro. I'm going to electrolyze your Signal Pest. Go ahead. I deserve to die for being dumb. Should have attacked too. What am I doing? What am I actually doing in this game? Why didn't I attack? It's not like I'm blocking these things. I feel like I have to counter this now. I do have to counter this now. Edge Champion? Or just another one? Alright. This is totally plain sloppy. Should have held the Electrolyze. I don't think I had a real reason that I needed to cast it on the one Signal Pest. Should have held the Electrolyze. Should have attacked with the Snapcaster Mage. Should have just also... That would have changed the game, but I shouldn't have let the Signal Pest trigger happen. Which, what I was worried... Let me explain. The reason that I did let the Signal Pest trigger happen was I was worried about Galvanic Blast. And I was like, oh, I need to hold up mana for that. But I just playing bad. Just doing bad things. Should I just concede because I'm playing bad? Just concede now, even though, like, I'm probably going to die anyway. I'm pausing here. Okay. Our opponent had disconnected for a while, but is now back. And we draw a... I guess that means we're not dead. How many lanes do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So... We can't block... Well, maybe we are dead. Yeah, we're dead. Because we can't block... We need to block 2 flyers, and everything flies. We can only block 1 flyer. Let's see, 1, 2... Just making sure... Yeah, because obviously we can't block with the Colonnade when it's tapped, and we'd have to tap it to have enough mana to activate it and put Queller into the yard. So we're just going to concede. This game was lost because of mistakes, in my opinion. Adrianated Explosives, Wear Tear, Staticaster, Ceremonious Rejection, Vendilion Click, Stony Silence. All options that we want to bring in. What we don't want are these. And actually, kind of seems like Gideon could be more interesting maybe than Geist in that, you know, we could play him and then he could take an Inkmoth Nexus or something out of combat. But what do we cut? I guess Click is better because slightly better. only because the matchup is extremely. It's very like the card that matters is Etched Champion, and we have to find a way to keep him from resolving. And for that reason, I don't want to cut the counter spells. Everything else is just great, though. Click has a positive interaction in that you can look at the hand, basically. That's if I didn't say that, that's what I was getting at. I don't think I can cut anything else. I think it's just not... Maybe this just isn't the matchup for Gideon. Okay, let's submit this. Yes, I want to play first. Well, I'm going to keep this hand. Hopefully we don't get turn 1 Thought Seized, and we'll just Hollowed Fountain into Stony Silence. There's the turn 1 Thoughtseize. Hand's still pretty okay, though. We have Helix, and if we can get another land into play, we have we can get another land into play, then we have Electrolyze and Spell Queller. What we don't have, what we'd like to have, is the answer to Etched Champion. Gonna go ahead and just play that now while we can. So I think I'm gonna put the land on the bottom, keep the path on top. If this is okay, this is say if this is Etched Champion, then that's definitely bad. Cranial Plating's not the worst. I mean, it's scary, but we have a good hand. We have a hand that should be good at plating management. He knows we have Electrolyze. I wonder if he has like a Spell Pierce. I'm just going to go for the Electrolyze. Although, I mean, he could also, if we Spell Queller, he could also, I'm really tempted to Path. Spell Pierce or Dispel. Yeah, Dispel we can't play around. I'm going to go for the Electrolyze. Might be a mistake because we could be playing... Yeah, okay, maybe that's a mistake. Could have played around that. Even talked about it. Talked about how we could play around it. Did not do it. Yeah, I mean, we should have played around it. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, I guess I was just hoping that my opponent was not being, like, intelligent, but that's probably not a good plan. I want to opt here. I want to put that on top. Our opponent has one card in hand, 2 Blinkmoth Nexus. I'm going to Path. If we were going to Electrolyze it, we would have to... I have a choice. If we were going to Electros, we would have had to send both points at it because he could pump with this. I would like to apply some pressure. I think I'm going to actually snap Opt here, because we do have 2 other removal spells. Yes, please. Okay. Game 3. I'm not gonna change anything. I could like take a Logic Knot out in favor of a Geist, but I don't, or even a Gideon, but I don't know that. I don't think that's better. I think just having maximum ways to make sure that we counter an Etched champion is where we want to be. Okay, so this is game 3, and it's going to be a replay, unfortunately. I forgot to unpause the video after I had paused it when I was done sideboarding. So I didn't unpause it till like halfway through the match, and since I have this recording, assuming that the replay all works, I'd rather you guys just be able to see the last game in its entirety than just half of it. So that being said, let's start the replay. Okay, so I decided to go ahead and keep this hand because if we draw a source of white mana, it's amazing. As it stands, we have the best counterspell in the matchup. We have a great removal spell. We have another removal spell that we can cast. So we can cast, 3 of our 5 spells, and then we can cast both of those 2 if we draw one white source. And one of the 2 that we can't cast if we draw a white source is probably the best card in the matchup. So, and there's no probably about that, it is. So I decide to go ahead and kind of keep a gamble here. Okay, Springleaf Drum, not too scary. Guess there is some potential that we get Thoughtseized again on, turn 1 here. All right, Thoughtseize probably incoming. It's actually not as scary. It's just a Glint Nest Crane, so we can think about what we need to do there. We're going to bolt at turn 1. We're going to wait. So I actually think the best thing to do is to go ahead and take 2 to keep our options open. There's a chance he could play like an Etched champion. We certainly want a Ceremonious Rejection that. If he doesn't really do anything, we can take 2 here, and we have the option to bolt after the fact. But I just wanted to. I felt like it was worth 2 life to be able to have the most options available to us. Opponent plays a land. Not worried about Vault Scourge. I'm going to let that resolve, obviously. Three mana feels like Etched Champion. It's actually Master of Ethereum. So this play presents a really interesting option. He only has 1 card left in his hand, so if that last card is an Etched Champion, what we'd really maybe want to do here is like bolt this, take 2, untap, see what we draw. We might draw a removal spell or something, and we might have to take like a big thunk on the head from the master. We do have an answer for it in the form of Wear Tear. For a while I was thinking about Ceremonious Rejecting it, but of course this is something you don't always think of. It is actually a blue card. It is an artifact, but it is not colorless, so Ceremonious Rejection doesn't even work. So what I decided to go ahead and do is, I believe I bolted the crane. Just couldn't get it off of the battlefield. And I just had to hope that it was unlikely. Well, I didn't know that it's unlikely. I just had to hope that... Oh, here was the other idea. If I drew a white source, I could Stony Silence, and I would take a lot. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Make sure that the Edge Champion didn't resolve. But what I decided to go ahead and do, I didn't draw the white source, so I just said, you know what, this is really just so much damage. So I went for the Wear Tear on the Master of Ethereum. Then just kind of said, I was like, please don't Edge Champion me, bro. Thankfully, he didn't. Which we go down to 14 here. And here again, we have options. We can slam the Stony Silence. We can try to like hold up mana for Queller. We can path something and have Ceremonious Rejection up. What I decided to do was slam the Stony Silence. Obviously, we take damage, and we're gonna like go down. I think to 11 here, but we take him off of 3 pieces of mana, which saves us from an Etch Champion. And I felt like that the play was just to cut him off of that much mana was just, you know, way too strong to not do it, even at the expense of the life. Being that our deck is mostly removal and we've taken a lot of the spell that the non-removal spells out, I feel like there's a pretty good chance that we will draw into some additional ways. Plus, you know, now we can put the Spell Queller in play while holding up Ceremonious Rejection and begin profitably blocking these Vault Scourges. Unfortunately, our opponent thought seized away our Spell Queller. He probably wanted to take the Ceremonious Rejection. No, he's probably fine to take really either of them. Although I would guess he would rather take the Ceremonious Rejection to make sure that a Etch Champion resolves, because his deck does have ways to interact with Spell Queller. And now that he casts this and he kind of still has 1 card in hand, I was also sort of beginning to think, okay, maybe this is like my guess is his last card is a Galvanic Blast. So he takes our Spell Queller, which means we're also now in dire need of finding an answer to these creatures. And I decide not to play the Tarn, because I'm going to take 3. I'm going to go from 8 to 5, and I don't want to fetch into the range of 4, because if we can stay out of 4, it's like staying out of the 3 range against Burn. Their Burn spell, Galvanic Blast, does 4. So things are looking a little dicey. We're going to just... Obviously, we want to prioritize the flyers, because at some point a Snapcaster Mage could block a Memnite. So we, just path of Vault Scourge, and now we have to hope that our deck delivers. And it does. Played this land even though I knew I wasn't going to crack it. So again, I for half a second I was like, oh, I'm going to counter that, but he can't activate it anyway, and if he does draw away to deal with the Stony Silence, then we have a lot bigger problems on our hand than that Welding Jar. Path the Vault Scourge, okay, deck is delivering, but unfortunately now we'd have to draw another removal spell, which, lo and behold, we did. Okay, things are interesting now. Of course, he's going to attack with the Memnite. What else would you do? But we know that we drew a path very luckily. Obviously, luck is part of Magic, and Lady Luck favored us there. So now we're just kind of open to draw more removal and a way to win the game. So the Electrolyzer is obviously a fantastic draw. It's going to let us cantrip through our deck, deal with most of his creatures, and we still have the Ceremonious Rejection to deal with what is arguably the worst, or the scariest card, Etch Champion. He knows that we have it too. Not worried about the cranial plating. I thought momentarily about just firing the Electrolyze off, but I felt like it's too good as a removal spell. And so here I thought about it for a bit, and I decided, let's see, did I? Yeah, I did. So I decided I really needed to start pressuring him, and I wanted to Snapcaster Bolt. Eventually, looks like I pondered about it quite a few times. The fact that I had myself protected from an Etch Champion, and I have myself protected against pretty much any creature except maybe something like another Master of Ethereum, I wanted to try to get the beatdown on. Because if the game goes forever, eventually he'll just draw enough ways to kill me. Or he'll find a way to kill me. Okay, so I kind of let that go pretty quickly, but he did have a Galvanic Blast. Did have the Galvanic Blast. Really glad that I was just very disciplined about not fetching with that Scalding Tarn. I want to go ahead and kill this now because, like you saw the last game, or the first game, if he's allowed to attack with the Signal Pest, just the Battle Cry trigger on the Ornithopter is enough to end the game. Into another Electrolyze. Probably can't ask for much more than that. Into an Opt. Now here, Opt is fine, but this late in the game, Serum Visions would probably just be better because we can spend this one blue to cast it, and then we still have mana for Electrolyze or the Ceremonious Rejection, and we get to set up our next 2 draws after that. But it's what we have, so I'm going to attack with the Snapcaster Mage here. So he casts a Master of Ethereum, which obviously we can't answer with Ceremonious Rejection. We can't answer with Electrolyze. We're really going to have to depend on Opt to find us an answer, and that could be the game here. What we do get to do is we like to instant speed look at what we're going to draw and then decide if we want to Electrolyze the Ornithopter before it gets out of range, because it'll get +1/+1 from the Master. And Opt finds us a Spell Queller on top of our deck. Incredible. Now, had that been a Serum Visions, we just would have drawn the Spell Queller, and we would have known what our next draws are. So I still feel like in this situation, Serum Visions was better, would have been better than Opt. In fact, I'm starting to feel like Opt is fine. I think it's more, I'm almost beginning to think that if you only want 4 cantrips, you just make them Serum Visions. If you want more than 4 cantrips, you make the additional ones Opt. But I'm starting to feel like just pound for pound, we already knew that Serum Visions was a better card, and the instant speed trickery is a lot less important than just having an individually more powerful card. And I think that's going to be my final assessment. But we have just drawn really well and had luck on our side. So now we get to double up on our clock. Another land is fine. Would have rather had a business spell, but we'll take it. Trying to remember when he played this Inkmoth Nexus. I don't think it was either. Okay, it was the turn that he played the Master of Ethereum. I wasn't really worried about the Inkmoth Nexus. A, we can kill it. B, it doesn't actually deal poison. It deals poison and not regular damage, so our life total's not being threatened by it. Gluttonous Crane's kind of annoying. Again, we're at 1. With the Gluttonous Crane, he reveals a Etched Champion, which we thankfully have an answer for. We're at 1. The game is really close. It's going to be still difficult to win, and now he has a way to win it. And we want to end the game. He's not going to catch the Edge Champion. He knows we have the Ceremonious Rejection. Now, for our draw, we have a great one. An Is It Staticaster. Unfortunately, we can't Staticaster and Electrolyze in the same turn. That would be a great way to deal with the Gluttonous Crane. And I spent a little bit of time trying to figure out if I was going to attack or not. Because if he lets the 4 mana, if he doesn't block either, he's dead. And if he blocks the Queller with the Gluttonous Crane, then we can Electrolyze it to finish it off. But then we still have a Snapcaster Mage. He also can block with the Inkmoth Nexus. Actually, he can't because he can't activate it right now. I think the correct play here. Okay, so here's the thing. I decided to attack with both. I think that was a mistake. What I'd done is kind of forget about the Ornithopter. The reason is, I was only thinking about this. If he doesn't block with this, he goes to 4, we Electrolyze him, and he's dead. And I think, let's see what happens here. I think the correct thing for me was to not attack. And then at the end of his next turn, put this Is It Staticaster in play, untap, and then I can take care of I can not die to the Gluttonous Crane. I think my opponent just made a mistake too, because he blocks with both. But here's the thing: he only had to deal 1 damage to me. If he sees me attack with both, he may have just assumed also that I had a bolt. But even then, he just goes to 4, and I can't bolt him out. So there's no 4 mana burn spell that he needs to necessarily play around. So if he just blocks, say, the Spell Queller with the Ornithopter, and then untaps and attacks with the Gluttonous Crane, I have no way to kill it. I have an Electrolyze. I'd have to Electrolyze his face and hope that was enough. And after I made the attack, and then he blocked with the Ornithopter, I was like, oh my gosh, where did this Ornithopter come from? I kind of forgot about it. And that's just, I wasn't surveying the battlefield closely enough. But this is how he blocked, which was a mistake, I think. Because the Gluttonous, the Crane takes 2, which then allows me to deploy this Is It Staticaster, take care of the thing that's going to kill us. Things are starting to look a little bit better, but that was definitely, I could have thrown the game there, because right now, I would have had the Staticaster, and if I was at 2, I could have killed it. I could have, we'll see what I draw off the Electrolyze. Of course, we're going to counter this with the Ceremonious Rejection that we've been holding on the entire time for that 1 card. So if he had attacked with the Gluttonous Crane and I Electrolyzed him or something to see what I would have drawn a Vendilion Cluck and I would be dead right now. So that was a definite mistake on my part, and then my opponent also didn't block correctly. What I should have done is, like I said, I should have just sat back on the Queller. What I could have done actually is I could have attacked with the Snapcaster Mage. Just sent in the Snapcaster Mage, and then if he blocks with the Ornithopter, fine, the Ornithopter dies. But I have a blocker for the Gluttonous Crane, which was important. That was the right step. The right step was just to attack with the Snapcaster Mage. And then if he blocks with the Crane, then great, I get to kill it with the Electrolyze. Okay, but I just wanted to make sure that that mistake was well understood. Okay, so here I decided to go ahead and draw step the click. If he has a Galvanic Blast, there's nothing we can do about it anyway. And this just gives me the information. I get to control his draw step to the point that I can take nothing, I can take something, I can, if he outside of Galvanic Blast, if there's something he has that could potentially allow him to win the game, I get to take it. Okay, so we cast the click at his draw step, and he concedes to that. So that's the end of round 4. Super close game. But we end the league 4-1, which is great. And I think we learned a bit about the deck. Let's see. I think we learned a bit about Gideon. Gideon seemed. I feel like I need to further test Gideon, but he didn't seem bad. He seems to make sense to me in the matches where you're taking out your Geist, because he interacts against decks where you don't like Geist. He has some positive interaction. Opt, I was not very impressed with. It's fine, but I could almost see myself running like 4 Serum Visions and 1 Opt if I even want that many cantrips. I kind of need to think about the deck and think about how many cantrips we really want to run. I don't think it's 8. It could be 5. It could be 6. It could be 4. I'm not sure yet. But I think if I'm only going to run 4 cantrips, it's probably going to be 4 Serum Visions. Maybe it would be 3 Serum Visions and 1 Opt. But again, I just don't think like the instant speed trickery is better than the more raw power of Serum Visions on its own. I don't recall at least feeling the pinch of only having 2 Geists. I think I might run 2 for now. Everything else I think is fine. I hope you guys enjoyed the league. Thank you for watching, and I'm 1 day behind on my videos, so this will actually be coming out Sunday. So check my channel tomorrow morning in the US and in the early afternoon in Europe for my first sort of like my first/second new style video. That one's going to be an FNM about our vlog about Geneva FNM. If you enjoy my videos, please consider subscribing to my channel. I would greatly appreciate it, and I hear it's really good for your health. I will talk to you guys soon.